Test.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Board of Education meeting is hereby called to order. I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening for our meeting. Starting right on time at 6:30 on the dot. And we are going to begin with the act of reverence and pledge allegiance to the flag. And we will start with that led by Commissioner Powell.
Sure. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have some minutes to accept. We have minutes from the January 24th business meeting and minutes from the January 31st special meeting and the February 5th special meeting. Board members should have received these minutes in your packet. I entertain a motion to accept those minutes. So moved. It's been moved by Commissioner White. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Adams. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. We had our recognition earlier with our students for Black History Month. We're going to move to speakers addressing an agenda item. We have several speakers addressing an agenda item. We're going to start with speakers speaking on agenda item. We also have some speakers speaking not on agenda item. But for the sake of time and because it is Valentine's Day, I'm going to call all the speakers up during this time period. And we're going to start with our first speaker. We start with students first, then we go to parents, then we go to community, then we go to staff. We have some students speaking, and I would ask that speakers come up to the mic, speak right into the mic, state your name, your school, your affiliation, where you're from, so it can be captured for the record. And I also ask that you speak for 2 minutes, and when your time is up, you will hear the beep, and at the beep, I'll ask you to conclude your comments. And we'll start with our first speaker, who is Jameek Clayton. Is Jameek here? Devon Hardy. Mr. Hardy?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Devon Hardy. I'm 17 years old. I'm in the 11th grade, and I go to East High School. Should you take away something that was meant to be? Can you take away the responsibility, the duties given to us and give it to Brian Camardi? We don't think you should. And if you knew what you were doing, then maybe you would be doing the same thing we are. We don't like Mr. Camardi because he's the coolest or the greatest administrator at our school. We like him because he shows us the values and he helps us get through the day, every day. So you tell us, what's it gonna be? We want Mr. Camardi back at our school or we will leave. But we want to let you know that we wanna grow, but we cannot grow unless we have the right role model, which is Mr. Camardi. Everyone at our school loves Mr. Camardi. We need Mr. Camardi. Everybody wants Mr. Camardi. We just don't like him because he's awesome, like he's amazing at our school. He does things, he helps us, he helps me, he helps you. So you tell us, what's it gonna be? It's not about who's the boss and who's in charge. It's about who gets the job done and who gets it done right. And Mr. Camardi gets that job done right. So you tell me, what's it gonna be? We want Mr. Camardi back, as I said in the beginning, or we will leave. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Tanya Adger. Tanya here. Anaja Barley. Is Anaja here? Asia Sarant. Asia. Lyric Austin. Oh, is that Asia? After Asia will be Lyric Austin.
Hi, my name is Asia. I'm 8 years old and I go to School 30. I would like to say I do not want School 30 to shut down because it is a special place to me. And all the teachers there and the principal are special to me. And I would like to say if I was grown up and I had kids, and I would want them to go there, and when they grow, and when the other kids grow up, I would want their kids to grow up and go to that school. So that's why I don't want the school to shut down.
Thank you. Is Lyric Austin here? Hi, Lyric. And after Lyric will be Daniel Aponte.
Hi, my name is Lyric Austin, and I'm 11 years old, and I go to School 30. I just want to know, why do School 30 have to close down? This is a good school to go to. I have a good education at School 30. This is a great school to go to. I just want to know, if I leave and my sister wants to go there and I can't, and I'm about to go to 7th grade next year. And then how's she gonna go to the same school I went to and she gotta go to a different school? I want her to go to the same school I went to. Because she's my little sister and I want her to follow my footsteps. And that's not fair for the rest of the kids that have little sisters and stuff. That is not right. So why do y'all want us to close School 30? That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Daniel Aponte.
And it's on broadcast.
My name is Daniel Aponte from school number 30. I really don't want school number 30 to close because all teachers teach me everything I really want to know. And plus, about everything I want to know, they give me good things in my heart that I like. And, well, this is my first time up here too, but
Won't be the last.
But I really don't want School 30 to close because my baby sister wants to go to School 30. She's only 3 years old, and her name's Jesselyn Aponte. And really, I want my sister used to go to School 30, and my sister loves School 30, and really, I don't really want School 30 to close because Miss Latimer is my favorite teacher too, and Miss Gaffney.
Thomas Aponte? Thomas? Hi, Thomas.
My name's Tommy Aponte. My name's Tommy Aponte. I love 230. So 230 is my favorite too. So I love Mr. Daphne. Mr. Daphne do everything for me. Mr. Daphne used to be a best teacher in my whole entire life. So Mr. Daphne let me. I do everything for Mr. Daphne. I don't do everything for enough teachers. But Danny loves the two for you a lot, for a little bit, a lot. But my sister Giselle Aponte, her loves 230 a lot. But I love 230 a lot. So it's in the first time, I'm not letting 230 choke down. So 230 is my favorite too, and I'm not letting it turn down. Thank you.
He told us. Giselle Aponte?
Not tonight.
Giselle?
We're waiting for both his feedback, remember? And he has not got that. We're supposed to get back to his file.
All right. He told us.
My name is Giselle Aponte. I'm a student at East High. I'm 17. I'm here for two things, and two things only. One, to try to get Kamadi back, because like he said earlier, we do need Kamadi. Now that Kamadi is gone, it's like kids are really starting to act up. Yesterday we had a snowball fight, and then a fight right after school. And it's like, all the kids want is just Kamadi back, so they're trying to start up a lot of trouble just to try to get Kamadi back. Because everybody, like he said earlier, Kamadi is there for when we need help. I've been working with Kamadi since I went there in 8th grade. He's really helped me a lot. Even though he's not my administrator, I would love for him to be my administrator once again because he's helped me with a lot of stuff. Even in my math. My math is the weakest subject I have right now. And with him, it's really getting better. Now that he's out of the school, I'm failing again. Technically, I'm not gonna lie, I skipped a couple of classes because I'm mad that he's not back. I'm gonna say it I'm even part of the group that's acting up because I'm skipping. I'm acting up with my teachers, walking out of the classroom, slamming doors, and they all like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Cause I want Kamari back." And if I have today I had to go home very early from school because 3 girls wanted to fight me for no apparent reason because they're mad that Kamari's not there. And I'm not a student that fights. But if you're gonna come up to me and fight with me for no apparent reason, I got a very short temper, so of course I'm gonna fight and trip, but I'm really nervous right now. I'm just saying that East High really needs Kamari back, because if Kamari doesn't come, I'm leaving. I know a couple other students will leave. I'm just not really happy in that school anymore without Kamari. He's really helped me through a lot in that school. A lot. And then School 30, it's like my brothers were saying. School 30 is a very nice school. They help a lot of kids out. I'm a graduate from there. They help me a lot. One of the teachers, I guess you guys want to take him out, Mr. Ford, Jason Ford. He was my 4th grade teacher. He helped me in a lot of math that I needed help with, and because of him, I was able to pass 4th grade, pass 5th, pass 6th, and went on to East High. If it wasn't for him and all the other teachers in School 30, I don't think I would have done it. And then if I didn't do it in school elementary, I think I would have dropped out and sat in East High. And because of that school, and because they still give me support now, they're like family to me. Every single one of those teachers, everybody in School 30 is like family, and Kamari too.
Thank you.
So I really hope you guys don't close School 30 down, because my little sister.
Thank you, Giselle.
Okay.
Thank you. Give her a round of applause. Jamila Hannah, is Miss Hannah here? Miss Hannah, Jamila Hannah? Fred Tanksley?
No, because we didn't get a redesign.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Commissioners, Superintendent. First of all, I want to say that my comments today is not to any of you personally. They're more for the office that you hold. If we, the people, elected you to make the policy and work on our behalf, then why can't we know what you know when you know it? Nowhere did it say when I voted for the school board members that you would be keeping certain information from us and that you would decide what that information is. I voted for many of you there, and I should know everything that you know about what I am entrusting you to do for my children and myself. Does us voting for all of you then make you better than us in that you get to decide what, when, where, why, and how we know the issues involving our kids? I did not see on the ballot, if my memory serves me correctly, most of you campaigned about transparency. Now, I know you're going to try and hide behind the state and local laws. But when I voted for you, I expected you to work just as vigorously to change those things as you did to get my vote. If you are working for those who voted for you, then why are you not doing what we want you to do? It really becomes disingenuous when your kids are in the district and you have firsthand knowledge of situations that you can respond and protect your children without haste. And I'm speaking to that situation that was spoke about on the last meeting about knowledge of employees and situations that happen involving children. And also I speak to the situation with the administrator at East High School. If all these people came here to tell you that they need this man at that school, I don't even see why it's an issue that he is not still there and it's being a situation that he has to lose his job. We put you all here to work for us on our behalf. And that's what we expect you all to do, not to make decisions that we don't understand why the man has to leave. And we can't let you sit and make policy decisions about things that affect our children in ways that you cannot imagine. I really am here to let you know that we're not going to stand for this to happen. And I will stand and speak in every moment and possibility, and every person that I run into and talk to, I will shout it from the mountaintops. The event that preceded us talked about freedoms. When are you gonna give us back the freedom that we possess? You are shackling us just as bad as slavery.
Jacinia Aponte? Okay, Mr. Eagle, I'll get to you. Yeah. I don't know why it's not there. I'll make sure that we call you after the next parent, Mr. Eagle. Well, I'll get you after the next parent, okay? You'll be after Kelvin Harris. Jacinia Aponte? After Jacinia, we'll have Kelvin Harris and then Howard Eagle.
Hi, my name is Jacinia Aponte. It's my second time here. I'm still nervous, but I'm talking for two people. So I'm talking for School 30 and also for Blind Kamadi. First of all, for Blind Kamadi, I do not want him to be taken out of school from East High. I'm a parent, and I don't get along with too many people from East High, especially with some of the administrators. The one person that always helped me out with my problems with my daughter was always Mr. Kamadi. He's helped me out with problems I've had at home. And honestly, I would love him to come back to East High. Because if he don't come back and the kids end up leaving, I'm supporting my daughter in that. Okay, and also for school number 30, I'm a foundation of that school. I've been there since the very beginning, since my daughter Giselle was in there from kindergarten. And I'm still in there. I'm also part of the PTA. And I will fight for that school if it takes me to the last breath for that school to stay there. My boys do not want to go back to their old school, and I'm not going to put them back in no other school but School 30. So I will be there to the very end, and I'm not quitting when it comes to School 30.
Thank you. Mr. Kelvin Harris? Kelvin Harris? Mr. Howard Eagle?
Good evening. I was going to wait to mention Mr. Cromartie at the end, but maybe I'll just join the chorus right now. Mr. Cromartie has been to the table of the Community Issues Consortium and the Community Education Task Force, and we support him wholeheartedly. We'll do whatever we've already said it to our brother, whatever we need to do to keep you at East High School. It's clear that we need particular kinds of leaders in this community. The man is one. He's the type of leader we need. So whatever we have to do to keep him, you got our full support. And then I was going to mention this at the end. You'll see that a number of us are wearing buttons that say "Stop the War." The war we're talking about, at least part of it, a critical part of it, is the war against our children. That's how we're starting to feel. It's time to stop the war against our children. I'm speaking as a Rochester City School District parent, local, state, federal taxpayer, and as a representative of the community's issues consortium and a representative of the Community Education Task Force. We're here this evening, just as we were at last month's board meeting on the 24th of January, to express our concern and disgust regarding the Matthew Lamaglio child molestation case. As I'm sure you recall, at last month's meeting, we mentioned an undated letter, and we have discovered that although the letter was signed by the principal of number 54, it was not written by her. Instead, it was written by the person whom we refer to as your spin doctor, Mr. Chip Partner, and or your legal department, and was in fact faxed to the principal of number 54, and she was directed to sign the letter and was directed not to mail it, but instead to send it home by the children. We believe that this was a tactic to ensure that as few parents as possible would receive and or pay attention to the letter. Apparently the tactic worked, because when we visited School 54 on February 1st, we spoke with parents who had no knowledge about the Lamaglio case. While we were at School 54 on February 1st, we also discovered another one of Mr. Lamaglio's victims. And you see, we have much more information than we shared on January 24th, and we still have a lot of information. We knew then, on January 24th, for certain, without any doubt, that there are real victims. Some of our supporters also visited School 19 on February 4th and discovered that there were parents there who had absolutely no knowledge about the Lamaglio case. Just to reemphasize exactly how serious this situation is, upon finding out about it, one of number 19 parents remarked that, quote, this is a quote, "This is the kind of stuff that gets people killed," end of quote. Now, I'm also sure you recall that during the January 24th board meeting, we mentioned that we have planned to attend the board's policy development and review committee meeting on February 7th. We did attend, and again, we thank Mr. Cruz for allowing us to have input at the February 7th meeting. However, in the final analysis, we are disappointed, to say the least, that the committee did not develop and advance a policy to you to be voted on this evening regarding the fact that any time any Rochester City School District employee is removed from a classroom or facility and is being investigated for suspected criminal activity, parents should be notified within 48 hours. As we mentioned on the 24th, there's nothing complex about this idea. It's straightforward and simplistic. It is not something that you need to study and research for months before you act. Your policy development and review committee has failed. Also, we are absolutely disgusted by some of the testimony we heard from your spin doctor at the February 7th meeting. For example, he said that when Matthew Lamaglio was removed from the classroom in April 2012, that the district did not know why he was under investigation. And he claimed that even Mr. Lamaglio did not know why he was under investigation. Yet, the letter, the undated letter, which he apparently wrote or helped to write, it is stated, quote, "Last April, the Rochester police informed the district that he was being investigated for charges of sexual misconduct with a child," end of quote. I'm wrapping up right now. So, which is it? Did you and he know why he was being investigated or not? We have also discovered that Mr. Lamaglio has worked at the Montessori school and at number 20 school. We will be visiting those schools to talk to parents about the importance of talking with their children. We understand the concept of a so-called innocent until proven guilty, but at this point, we have enough factual information that we're calling for Mr. Lamaglio's resignation, and if he won't resign, then we're calling for him to be terminated. If you want to find reasons why he should be terminated immediately, we suggest that you dispatch the investigative arm of your security department over to school number 19 and question the administration and the staff there about a possible cover-up. We are confident that a cover-up is exactly what has happened in this case. There's also a very, very big problem relative to where Mr. Lamaglio is currently assigned. I'm finishing up right now. Since there are children in the building where he is now, so that's a problem. Additionally, we will not wait beyond the board's March business meeting for you all to have in place the type of reasonable, rational, common sense policy that we have requested. I have been authorized to let you know that if the policy is not developed and voted on and passed during your March business meeting, then there will be no further policy development and review committee meetings because we are committed to shutting them down. There's no sense. It doesn't make any sense for the committee to meet if it's not going to do what it's supposed to do. And again, I want to reiterate that we support Mr. Bryant Cromartie with all we know, all we have.
Thank you. And Mr. Eagle, can you give our board clerk any of the information that you gathered from that you referenced in your remarks? That would be helpful.
Well, we'll have to go back and have that discussion, and then we'll decide.
Thank you. Thank you. Brianna Cromartie.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Brianna Cromartie. Hi. I'm coming to speak on behalf of my father, Bryant Cromartie. My father has a passion. He loves his job, and the students love him. I just don't understand why did he get terminated from his job or let go. My dad not only helped students, but he also helped me. If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be a college student, and I wouldn't have a full scholarship at New Mexico State University. If it wasn't for my dad, I would not have a 3.5 GPA. If it was not for my dad, I wouldn't be top in the nation right now. My dad is not only an administrator, he's also a father who has children, he needs to feed, who he has to nurture. You allow him to just take his job away. How is he going to nurture us besides giving us values? He needs also to provide. So you just taking away from my dad like that, I don't feel that is right. My dad has, not just because he's my dad, but everyone knows, my dad has saved numerous of lives of children from Dr. Freddie Thomas Learning Center, from East High School, from Franklin, and now Edison, and now East. I just want to say I think the board should redirect the decision that his boss, my dad's boss, came upon, because I feel that everyone, I don't think it was a mistake, but everyone makes mistakes, and maybe the inappropriate email that the superintendent said it was a mistake, maybe he could, find in his heart to forgive my dad and to give him his job back, because like I iterated, my dad is not only an administrator, he's a father. And at the end of the day, he has to provide for his family. Thank you.
Thank you. Gwen Bird. Shannon O'Brien.
Hello. Tonight I just wanted to come here to briefly take the opportunity to say thank you to Mary and Dr. Vargas and the entire board for taking the time to really listen to what we at School 30 needed to share with you over the past few months. We want to thank you for those of you who came to our school to listen, to answer questions, and to learn more about the amazing things that are happening at our building. I would also like to urge and encourage you to please continue to get to know each building and each situation before making the important decisions that you make each day. How things seem or how they look on paper are sometimes very, very different than how they truly are. Please keep in mind the amazing changes that have occurred behaviorally, academically, and within our school community and our culture, which are in great part due to the process that we began almost 2 years ago, which is the Leader in Me that we've talked to you about before. The Leader in Me process had begun to transform our building, our staff, our students, their families, our community, and anyone who visits School 30. Please know that this process will grow and continue in each of us, no matter where we teach or where our students learn. I believe that this transformation would be unbelievably beneficial to the Rochester City School District community. And I urge you and I hope that you will continue to support us in this process in any way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gabrielle Lahoda.
Well, tonight you've heard how School 30 has impacted our students and their families. There are many amazing things happening at School 30, and we've shared many of those with you. I know I've spoken many times, but I do want to highlight before you go into making your decision some of the highlights that we have at School 30. Academically, we have grown significantly. This is according to the Ames Web Data Benchmark and Progress Monitoring compared to last year. Referrals have dropped dramatically compared to last year at this time. The school's united and progress is happening. The Leader in Me has made a significant impact in our building. We have a school full of leaders and learners. But I do know it is a difficult decision. I want you to know whatever decision you make, we know you have given this decision careful consideration. Commissioner Adams, thank you so much for taking the time to get to know our building. As Ms. O'Brien had spoken about, things that are on paper, things that are said about certain schools, I'm just happy you were able to bring back the true School 30 to the board and all the positive changes we've made in our building. And to the, I'm gonna cry. And to the students and families, thank you. To the students and families, wait a minute. On behalf of the staff, to the students and families, we just want to say thank you all so much for all the support you guys have given us. And we love each and every one of you very much. No matter where we are, know you always have a family at School 30. Thank you.
Stephen Sickles. After Mr. Sickles will be Randy Rudolph.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Sickles, and I am a history teacher at East High School. I stand before each of you tonight concerned with the current state of our school and with the hope and belief that you can help. Mr. Brian Cromartie is one of the best administrators I have had the opportunity to work with in my 8+ years in this district. Mr. Cromartie is fair, he is firm, and he is consistent in his interactions with students and staff alike. His recent firing is a complete travesty and an injustice to our district. Mr. Cromartie is one of the most respected adults in our building. In fact, he serves as a mentor to many of our students. Being that Brian is a graduate of the RCSD, he can easily relate to the students' needs and works with them to make better decisions. He talks to the students about the neighborhood that he grew up in and how he went to SUNY Brockport to further his education. Too many of our students don't understand the importance of education and don't do well in school as a result. In an effort to improve our school's graduation rate, Mr. Cromartie had recently instituted a program called Check and Connect. The purpose of this program is to keep track of at-risk students. He monitored their behavior and effort in each of their classes on a daily basis. It is the first time that I have seen in my many years in the district that an administrator had so actively become involved with the needs of our students. At first, many of the students were annoyed by the added responsibility, but have grown to like it. For many, it was the first time someone had taken an active role in their education. Recently, Mr. Cromartie was removed from East High School, and this action has already had a negative impact on the East High School community. Students, especially those on Check and Connect, felt that their biggest supporter was taken away from them. Student tardiness and apathy has increased in the short time he has been out of our school. Some of his former mentees have reverted to their disrespectful behavior and lashing out at peers and adults alike. Specifically, at least 2 of my students have almost completely stopped putting forth effort in my class. When I have approached them and tried talking with them about what's going on, their answer is simple: Mr. Cromartie is gone. This is why I come to you, the esteemed members of the Board of Education. 2 years ago, in Dr. Vargas' introductory speech to us at the Theater on the Ridge, he spoke about keeping consistency in our schools. He was appalled at the number of teachers in the room who had worked in multiple buildings. He said it was unfair to the kids that were there that there was so much turnover in their educational careers. It is my belief that the removal of Mr. Brian Cromartie exemplifies the exact situation that our superintendent desired not to occur. I hope, based on the testimony of the others who have come to speak tonight and myself, that the superintendent and the board can reverse this decision that has so greatly impacted the East High School community. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sickles. Randy Rudolph. And after Randy Rudolph will be Stefan McDonald.
Yes, how y'all doing? I'm here because of Abigail Hernandez, one of the students that Brian Cromartie was able to reach, that many of us failed. She's in 9th grade, and she wrote this letter for me to say here. Okay. Excuse the grammar on it. Dear RCSD, my name is Abigail, and I go to East High School. Please bring back Mr. Cromartie to us. We need him, and we love him. I want to say a few things about Cromartie. He is a funny guy. He make people laugh. He always make me laugh every single day. If Mr. Cromartie doesn't come back, I will leave. That was wrong. He didn't need to leave. We love him. If he leave, I will never laugh. He is the only person who make me laugh every day. If I don't see him, he will never see me play basketball next year if he doesn't come back next year when I go to the 10th grade. Next year, I am leaving, and y'all were never going to stop me. Please bring him back to us. I want to see him again. I went to his play twice, and this year, he didn't need to leave me. I love him, and I also support him, and my heart is broken because he was fired. Please bring him back to us. If he leaves, I will leave this school forever. My heart's still broken because Mr. Solar didn't want to tell me the truth. Please don't fire him. He loved everybody in this school. It's quiet without him. I don't have anyone to talk to. The only person that I'm able to talk to is Troy Clancy. I talk to him now that Cromartie is gone. Bring him back. I love him. And what I would like to say is that if a man is going to be fired because of test scores, if he's going to be fired for test scores, guess what? We're all guilty. And you can't just fire a man because of mistakes that have been going on from 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade on up. You're too busy closing schools and opening up prison. You're too busy listening to other people who want to run for mayor in the next 2 years. And you know what I'm talking about. We need Cromartie. You say you want to see more black male leadership in school, but every time one gets there, they got to walk on eggshells. The reason why you don't see a lot of your administrators from East High here, because they're scared. And I'm telling you that. Bring back.
Thank you, Mr. Rudolph. Stefan McDonald.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to propose a question in regards to my brother, Brian Cromartie. Has a man been made the recipient of justice or a victim of injustice? I would like to discuss the facts. A man loses his position because of low test scores. This fact is in and of itself a paradox because his failure is representative of a larger failure, which is the public education system as a whole. Thank you. If he must suffer this fate, then we should all suffer the same. This lesson is important because as educators, it is critical that we teach not only through academics, but also in how we live our lives. We are all good-intentioned, caring human beings who want what is best for young people. What we are doing is not working. We can love and push them as much as we want, but if we don't have the right plan, we will never get the right results. Children learn through role modeling, and you're a counselor, so you know, role modeling, right? What we are role modeling is that if you do the right thing and fail, and if someone evaluates your performance and considers it unworthy, you are a failure. Young people learn from our example. Our successes and failures are the best lessons because it is us who they aspire to be. Young people are angry because they cannot get justice. They look at their role models who are supposed to teach them, and even they cannot get justice. And then, and people are shocked and amazed when there is anarchy in this society. I believe the city school system deserves justice. I believe this city deserves justice. And I believe that the young people deserve justice. But how can we give the young people that which they need and deserve if we cannot execute justice among ourselves? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brett Crandall. Mr. Crandall here? Thought I saw him earlier, yeah. Next to Mr. Crandall will be Ms. Nancy McGrath.
Good evening. My name is Brett Crandall. I am a city resident and counselor in the Foundation Academy at East High School, and I'm here tonight to speak in support of Mr. Bryant Cromartie. First off, I think I can speak on behalf of the vast majority of teachers who are so pleased to see the culture change that Dr. Vargas has brought to our district. His stated desire to see less staff transiency so that our students can have lasting relationships with staff members was desperately needed, and we thank you for that. I had the distinct pleasure of working with Mr. Cromartie for the last 3 school years. His first year at East was as an assistant principal in the Foundation Academy. He brought a presence to the 3rd floor where our Foundation Academy is held. He quickly developed rituals and routines for students to follow. Staff and students valued his leadership and respected his authority. Mr. Cromartie continued on the next 2 years as program administrator. He got a promotion. He continued the work and did a phenomenal job during those 2 years. He is one of the strongest, most passionate administrators I have ever worked with. Big Daddy, as we like to call him, because he is a father figure to most of our students, has a vested interest in the education of all of our youth. He worked tirelessly during those 3 years to develop meaningful relationships with students and staff. His job was not an easy one, but he handled everything with such grace and dignity. Many would be overwhelmed by his position, but not Mr. Cromartie. He truly was Superman on our floor. I was disappointed at the end of last school year when I found out that Mr. Cromartie was being moved to the Commencement Academy, but was devastated even more by the news I heard 2 weeks ago when I heard that he had been fired by the district. I am not sure who made this decision or exactly what the rationale was, but I am hoping that Dr. Vargas and the board will reconsider this decision. The East High community, both students and staff, have been rattled once again. It has been difficult to process this information with students. It is another grief and loss issue that the East High community has had to deal with. When I heard that academic performance and low test scores in grades 7 and 8 were one of the reasons for his termination, I immediately thought of Mr. Cromartie as a scapegoat and the scary precedent that has been set by this action. Too often in education, and especially in urban education, we fail to address the real problems. Here are a couple of examples from a long list. Number 1, the large influx of charter school students returning back to city schools just before state exams. We've had 4 at East in the last 2 weeks. Number 2, attendance, which Dr. Vargas has taken a proactive role and set as a much needed priority from day one. And again, we thank you for that. Teams of teachers and counselors spend weeks at a time during testing only doing home visits to just get to our 95% participation mandate by the state, and that is only to get participation, saying nothing about the scores and results. And number 3, the massive layoffs 2 years ago that resulted in shifting of staff and instability in our buildings. Those are just a couple examples on a long list. I find it disappointing that this district is losing such a strong administrator who is such a strong role model, mentor, and leader. With this new precedent that has been set, what administrator is going to want to take on a promotion? I fear that we are going to lose many strong administrators. There are so many other factors besides test scores that show the true impact of an educator. I would like to close with this quote by Theodore Roosevelt that reminded me of Mr. Cromartie. It is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points how the strong man stumbled, or where the doer of deeds could have been done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while doing greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Like Mr. Cromartie said on the news last week, this is our life mission. We choose to work in this environment and accept the multitude of challenges that we face every day with courage and passion. We work with any and every child and give it our best shot, and quality educators like Mr. Cromartie, and he does not stand alone, need to stop being the scapegoat. Please, can the students and staff at East High get Mr. Cromartie back? He is not someone we need to get rid of. He is someone we need to clone. Thank you.
Thank you.
This one doesn't have getting rid of the 9 schools off the list.
Bill Kristen. I'm sorry, Nancy McGrath, and after Nancy McGrath will be Bill Kristen. Is Mr. Kristen here?
Hello, my name is Nancy McGrath, and I am a school counselor at East High School, like Mr. Crandall, and I wanted to speak about Mr. Cromartie. Since September, I have worked in the same small learning community and shared an office suite with Mr. Cromartie. And I wanted to talk about how his departure affected the students in our small learning community. To start off with, Mr. Cromartie is an amazing administrator. He is motivational and inspiring. He is a great listener, and he relates to students unlike anyone I have ever met. He's a wonderful role model, and in fact, as many other people have said, to some students, he is a father figure. You can imagine how devastating it was when students found out that he was no longer in his office. They were not only devastated, but confused and angry. Listening to them, it was extremely sad. It felt like grief counseling, and it was a huge loss for them and the school. I talked to students about the impact Mr. Cromartie had had on them. One student said that he looked for Mr. Cromartie every morning so that Mr. Cromartie would say hello to him. A small thing maybe, but actually very powerful. Another student said the only reason he went to global class was because he promised Mr. Cromartie that he would go every day. Another student said he stays on track for graduation because of him. And another said Mr. Cromartie was the only reason that she came to school at all. And these are just a few examples. So on behalf of the students in our small learning community, as well as all of the students at East High School, I appeal to you to make sure that Mr. Cromartie returns to East as soon as possible. We miss him desperately, and we need him back. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. McGrath. Bill Kristen. Marie Pollitt. And after Ms. Pollitt, did I say your name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Thank you. After Ms. Pollitt will be Michael Yan.
Hello, I'm Marie Pollitt. I hope I can see through my emotional tears. Okay. I'm Marie Pollitt. I have worked in the city school district. I'm gonna cry now. For over 30 years. I'm retired. Okay, I'm gonna calm down. Having lost Mr. Cromartie is a major loss. Okay, I'm gonna cry. Okay, back to my speech. I still enjoy working with children, even though I'm retired. I'm a substitute. I go into East every day, basically. In like 4 months ago, I worked with Mr. Cromartie every single day. I saw all the students who would go into his office. He is a father. That's the best thing I can say. They love him. They see him. He's just a leader to them. He shows them why it's important to be at school. He goes into their classes. He tells them why it's best to be a better student. I help him with the Check and Connect program. We have 72 children on that. They're improving. We have students that have gone from 9 Fs down to 3, 7 Fs down to 1. These are big steps. When he left, the kids would say to me, I'm not gonna do my sheet. Why should I come to school? One girl in the library said to me, I don't have a father at home. He is my father. It's a big loss. I know. Please bring it back.
Thank you. Thank you. Michael Yarn. After Mr. Yan will be Liddell Giles. Giles.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of my friend and my colleague at one time. I'm a per diem substitute teacher in the city school district. And when I was at Franklin, I met Mr. Cromartie, and he proven to be a firm but fair gentleman. And I recall one incident that I was just throwing students out the room. I was new, get out, feral, see you later. Mr. Cromartie came to me and said, you can't do that. And he taught me how to handle students. He taught me classroom management. But most of all, he showed me how to do it by his demeanor, by his character, by his disposition. And he said the most important thing is to have a relationship with the students. And I feel that everyone who have came up tonight has shown that Mr. Cromartie has a relationship with those students at East High School. And I know that it's a bunch of intelligent folks sitting there, right here. I don't doubt your efforts, but don't be blinded by what's real. Sometimes I think that we can be too intelligent for our own good. And I think that truth is free, but in some instances, truth creates fear. Because I know there's more teachers at East High School and around the district that could stand up for this man. But they feel that something's going on and it's not right. I just want to leave you with this poem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like serpery sweet? Does it sag like a heavy load, or does it explode, explode, explode? I beg of you, with the intelligence that God hath given you and the charge that this community has held you to, don't let this man's dream be deferred with his passion to serve our children. A man of color, someone that is standing up, that is a role model, not only for young people, but someone a few years older than him. That's one of my role models. So in closing, I'd just like to say that I've never been one with the political arena. And I feel uneasy because this is not my element. But at the same time, it's showing his nasty head again, for a lack of a better word. I know this is supposed to be an intelligent forum because of our members here. They're intelligent. They're gonna do the right thing. But at the same time, you must yield to the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Liddell Giles.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
And happy Valentine's Day. My name is Liddell Giles. I am a 26-plus year employee of the Rochester City School District. I've been working the entire time at East High School as a paraprofessional and former coach, having coached even the current principal, Mr. Annabelle Solar, who attended East High School. I feel compelled to be here tonight to speak on behalf of Mr. Bryant Cromartie. Everybody needs a little motivation to do well at their job. Mr. Cromartie has been a positive, motivating force for myself and many others in the East High building. I have seen Mr. Cromartie work diligently on a daily basis to make East High School a place you want to be, a place you want to send your child, as well as a place that you want to come and work at. Watching Mr. Cromartie interact, guide, and lead not only students, but staff in our building has been an awesome experience. One that has led me to actually feel the effects of a positive role model on others around them. I know Mr. Cromartie to be a man of high moral standards and ethics. He is one of our own, referring to as being a Rochester City School District graduate and working overtime, keeping students, especially our young black males, on track. Focusing, something that we need to focus on according to our recent statistics. Losing a person of Mr. Cromartie's caliber would be a tragedy, not just for the students and staff at East High School, but for the Rochester City School District as well, for obvious reasons. In closing, I am asking the board not to allow the loss of a positive role model and people motivator. We need him back at East High School as soon as possible. Thank you for your opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Giles. Allison Scavari.
Good evening, school board members, superintendent. My name is Allison Scavarla, and as always, I am the very proud music teacher at school number 54. And with me today, I have Molly Sanchez, the very proud music teacher of school number 42. And we come to you on behalf of the Music Steering Committee to speak to you about a district initiative that's scheduled for next year called Master Scheduling. I'm sure you're already aware of the whole concept of master scheduling, where all buildings would be scheduled centrally from downtown. And we wanted to speak to you a little bit about how that would directly impact music instruction in the city school district. As you know, grades kindergarten through fourth grade, early childhood education, is the period of most fertile musical development in a child's life. Instruction given during these years will profoundly impact the child's overall music achievement throughout their entire life. And we surveyed 31 elementary schools regarding their current amount of musical instruction per week in grades K through 4, just to see what the impact would be on the new master scheduling. The master scheduling will be more or less mandate that every student will receive the same number of instructional minutes in each subject area, which is wonderful. We're pushing for equity in all areas. And it will enable better use of itinerant teachers, which will reduce travel and part-time staff. Again, another fabulous thing to have happen. Elementary schools will basically be on a 4-day rotation of ABCD days and have 40-minute specials for physical education, music, art, and library, which it would equal out to one time every 4 days. We calculated out at the current recommended rate from the school board is for kindergarten through 4th grade to have 2 30-minute sessions of music instruction per week. And so, for example, if a school has kindergarten music 2 times per week for 30 minutes, the total minutes for the year would be 2,400 minutes. And we also determined the master schedule total. In a 4-week period, considering that 4-day rotation, students would receive music 5 times for 40 minutes each, totaling only 2,000 minutes, a clear loss of 400 minutes of instructional time throughout the year. Based on these concerns, we did that survey that I spoke about earlier. We got data back from 31 elementary schools regarding their current offerings, and then used that formula to figure out how their instruction would be impacted for next year. Based on this proposed schedule, some kindergarten through 4th grade students will increase their time, but more students will actually see a decrease in their overall time. Physical education would also see a decrease in time as well, bringing us out of compliance significantly with Part 100 of the New York State regulations. At the kindergarten level, 10 schools will increase time, 21 schools will decrease time. 1st grade, 9 schools will increase and 20 schools will decrease. 2nd grade, 10 schools will increase and 19 schools will decrease. 3rd grade, 11 schools will increase, 18 schools will decrease. And 4th grade, 13 schools will increase and 15 schools will decrease time. As it currently stands, as the master schedule is proposed, this would be a loss overall for a district that is so brilliantly bringing music back to the forefront of our children's education, which is a concern for, I know, our staff as well as our parents who are so finding it important to have music education in their child's life. To speak about her experiences as a school on rotation, I'd like to turn it over to Molly Sanchez.
That's your time, Ms.
Yes, ma'am.
Scavarla.
And she is the next speaker.
Good evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I apologize. I didn't advance yet.
Go ahead, Ms. Sanchez.
Thank you. At School 42, we presently, by the way, we think we are the most wonderful school. Our staff loves working there and is a wonderful staff. We have a 40-minute music period 1 time a week because we have common planning times. So I wanted to give a little anecdotal information about how this works with music. Because this is only 1 music class a week, we have devised a kind of a method where the children get extra music for 1/3 of the year. So I've been able to kind of do a little bit of observation about how this works with children and retaining concepts in music. The children that get music twice a week are much better at retaining the concepts that we have learned, even though they only get it for 1/3 of the year. And the children that get it once a week, I've noticed that it's much easier for them to forget what they have learned. I was at a PRISM concert this Sunday where our representative Louise Slaughter spoke about how children who are involved in music, their SAT scores are 5 to 7 points above children that are not involved in music. And as my colleague has stated, this district has been so supportive of music and bringing back music, and we as music educators are so grateful for that. So our desire is to be very proactive as this master schedule in the future will be implemented by our district. We would like you to consider some alternatives, such as using the periods alternating music and phys ed during the 40-minute specials period, and using the extra time perhaps to schedule art and library, although art would still be lacking according to RTA contract. Or another possibility is to mandate one of those extra blocks for music and make sure that it is mandated across the district so that our students don't get less music, but the amount of music they need to retain the concepts. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. And our last speaker will be Ms. Diane Hamilton. Ms. Hamilton here? Ms. Hamilton here? Okay, that concludes our speakers. Before we move on with the reports, we are going to take a 5-minute recess. Thank you. Hey.
Remember the goals, one of them, Katie talked about the 9 schools, what the priorities.
got to do the people's business. We got to do the people's business even when it falls on a so-called holiday. So with that, we will move to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Evans. I'm going to give you an update on expanded learning. You heard me saying over and over and over, the Rochester City School District children receive the least instructional time. Today, for example, I went to Monroe High School in Brighton, and this week, like every single week, our children receive 2 hours and 15 minutes less of instruction than the children in Brighton High School. And that we need to change that. We cannot improve this district unless we provide our children more time and support, and we are working on that. The framework in here is that expanding the school day is for several reasons, and you just heard a great reason, more music for kids. As you can see, right in front of you, here are the areas that we are planning to address as we expand the school day to meet our children's needs. Health and wellness. I know Mrs. Campbell, this is music to your ear. Rigorous academic support for our children. Engagement and enriching our kids, providing art, music, sport, and extracurricular activity. Individual support, which our children desperately need. And project-based learning is part of our belief that we need to engage our students not just by reading textbook, but also by doing. And community partnership is extremely important. We cannot do it alone. Although we do have the ultimate responsibility to make the necessary change, which this board and myself need to work on it, such as providing the right amount of time or instructional time for our children. So with that in aim, we had to, here are the area that we are planning to concentrate on. Again, rigorous academic support and relentless focus on instruction. That's what's going to get us to improve student achievement in this district. Student-centered, as I mentioned, project-based, and built on the Common Core, which the Rochester City School District is 4 years behind. Some districts began to do this work about 4 years ago, and we need, as a result, to, act with deliberate speed. So, in terms of intervention and support, we need to make sure that our students get the academic intervention, but not just intervention, but also acceleration. We cannot continue to be a district that just do more intervention than accelerating our kids. So it will be a balanced approach, keeping that in mind. The social and emotional need of the child need to be met. We have an incredible responsibility, as you heard tonight, the challenges our students face, and we cannot discount, that if you don't meet the whole child needs, that you are not going to get them to where they need to be academically. So health and wellness, that's a board policy that we want to implement and continue to foster. And this expanded learning will not only be driven by student needs, but also by student interests. We are surveying our students in terms of what they are interested, and we are taking that very serious because we do know that if you don't meet the child interests, you are not going to engage them in meaningful learning. So, it's an integrated type of educational approach. And of course, the mission of the district is to get our kids ready for the workforce, college, or career. And we will be paying attention to that. In terms of community partnership, it is crucial that we bring them on board and that we have a shared vision. What I've been saying to the community partner, that anyone who works with the district has to have one goal, and that is the academic success of our children. And it has to be a shared goal. And most people are beginning to understand that. For example, we can no longer continue to have our social service agents in our school to take the children from the little instructional time that we provide them. So that's why we want the expanded day, so the children don't have to be taken out of the classroom. That have been an old practice that had to end. We will end it if we are going to make the progress that we need to make. It has to be complementary. The strength that they bring into us has to complement what we do. And it has to have a collective impact. We won't claim, when we succeed, we all succeed. The district normally takes the responsibility for the challenges that we're facing in terms of poor student performance. That is not fair. We need to share that. We have too many partners. We spend a lot of resources with our partner, and it's important that we come to realize that we have a shared goal here, a shared mission, and that's extremely important, because if each one of us have a different goal, it's going to be very difficult to get to where we need to get. Here are the 4 areas. The district, we are going to use as much innovation as we can. The Office of Expanded Learning has a cross-function with the Office of Innovation, and we are working as a team. As far as the school is the community is concerned, we want to engage them, particularly at the end of the school day or at the school day. And we are getting the support of local foundation. As you know, also the Ford Foundation is helping us. And right now, the planning that is taking place is joint planning. 8 schools right now are engaged in rigorous planning. We hope, not that we hope, by this September, and you will see it in your budget, we will include the budget for each one of the school. We are working with the National Center of Time and Learning. And let me give you an idea. When you analyze our school day, in some of our schools, 38% of the time that the children spend on the school day is devoted to instruction. It ranges from 38 to 67%. So some schools are providing more, some schools are providing less. That has been part of the planning process. How do we use time in school? For Northeast College Prep and Northwest, we are going to beginning the planning right now on this month. As you know, that those 2 schools are priority schools, and we had to respond immediately to the state concern in terms of performance there. As far as funding, we are counting in 3 areas. We're counting on the school improvement grant that you normally pass for all kinds of things, the 21st Century Learning, and the community school partnership. So, again, here we're in the next, for the 8 school that we have engaged, here is where the funding sources will come from. And this is extremely important because this is going to be before you as part of the budget process. School 17 and Monroe, we are planning to use the school improvement grant. School 3, 45, 19, and 10, we are planning to use the 21st Century Community Learning Grant. And for 9 and 34, the School Innovation Fund, we are targeting those funding to those 2 schools. And the other will come from various sources. Title I will be devoted for Northeast College Prep and Northwest, and School 23 and 46 with accounting on Title I and other potential funding. My hope is that this gives you an update and an overview of where we are in what I consider the most important initiative to move student achievement. Let me just repeat once again, unless we believe that instruction doesn't matter, it's the only way that you can justify that the children that are the most needed in Monroe County will receive the least amount of instruction. And it is our belief that instruction matters, and that our kids need as much time and support. Our teachers, our administrators, and our school can no longer continue to close the door for our students, in some cases at 1:15 in the afternoon, and less than any other school system in Monroe County. I will give you a brief update now on another initiative, and that is RAC-READ. Our children need to read 365 days, and we are very pleased to tell you that since we started last year, we are improving by measuring the number of children that are reading during the break. And we do have some good measures, so I got some good news for you. We started last February with 18% of the children participating. Now we are at 27%. We are very fortunate that we just have received $25,000 from a graduate from Franklin High School to buy books and continue this effort. And let me just say that RAC-READ is not just during the break, but I'm asking every parent to read to their children 30 minutes per day, or to listen to them reading to them. And I ask the board to please, every corner of this community, everywhere you go, repeat, more time on task, and more reading in multiple places and more support. So we are continue this February. I'm going to ask Carlene to please join me and to let the community and let you know what I will do in this February to encourage reading during the break.
Thank you, Dr. Vargas. Good evening and happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And it's kind of appropriate that we're talking about this on Valentine's Day, because we like to say that library is the heart of school, so it's a fitting day for it. For February, students are taking home books from their school libraries. They're encouraged to visit the public library branches and borrow books from there. All of the public library branches have the information that was shared with all the schools, the forms, the posters, everything that they would need if a student comes in and they don't have it with them. We have two school librarians with us here today, Nancy Westendorf from School 36 and Amy Simsick from number 5. And they were going to mention a couple of things that they do in their buildings to promote RAC-READ.
Good evening, everybody. I had a great day today. Today, I was able to go into every classroom at 36 with two things in my hands. On the one hand, the coupons for those who had read over Christmas vacation, and on the other hand, the applications to encourage kids to read over February vacation. I was very careful to point out, as I announced the recipients of the coupons for Wegmans and for the Rochester Razor Sharks, that these were not wins. This was not luck. This, in fact, was earned. The children whose names I was about to read were people who had earned these coupons. And boys and girls, if you want to be one of those people and you aren't one of them today, here is your ticket to do that on pink paper for Valentine's Day. I was able to do that at each classroom throughout the day, off and on, and the kids got it, and I'm really looking forward to the numbers from 36 School when we get back.
Howie Jacobson was here earlier, and he was one of the founders of Rock Read with Dr. Vargas, and unfortunately, he had to leave. He had a very important date with his wife for dinner, and they had reservations that they had to make. So he apologized for having to leave, but he did tell me before he left, you had mentioned the $25,000 grant, and so far, the Rochester Business Alliance has committed to contributing towards matching funds to that grant, and Howie is working, he's been a fantastic fundraiser for this program. And he's working on getting other people to match the $25,000 grant also, which would be used to purchase books for students when they turn in their forms after a vacation. A brand new book would be one of the incentives that they receive in addition to the Wegmans coupons, Abbott's, Razor Sharks, Red Wings, everybody that has helped out from the start. Another thing that we're looking to do with the grant is bring in an author for an author visit as a prize to the winning secondary and elementary schools. The author that we're trying to get is Jacqueline Woodson. She has books for pre-K through 12th grade, and she's going to be in Rochester in the end of April, so we're really hoping that we can work that out and get her here. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlene. It could not be possible where they work with so many people, the teachers, the librarians, the administrator, and most significant, the student, the parent that I engaged into this. Let me tell you, Howard Jacobson, Ty Kelly, and Adam, they have been very helpful in helping us launch this initiative that is so needed. Mr. Evans always said that we cannot do this work alone. And reading is one thing that a child can do anywhere, whether you're waiting for the train, whether you're riding the bus, or whether you want to go and visit your neighborhood library. So we have a lot of supporters. The Rochester Business Alliance that you just mentioned, the Rochester Teacher Association, the United Way, the Rochester Educational Foundation, the Lavine Foundation, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and the Hash Foundation. But let me just say that this board values celebration, and I cannot tell you how appreciative I am of Wegmans. They have distributed over 50,000 $6 value meal to families. And they have been there with us since day one, encouraging us to move forward to promote reading and healthy eating. The Rochester Red Wing, and Howard Jenkins, he goes in and he's magical. He talked to Ty Kelly from Wegmans. They had devoted an enormous amount of time. So the Rochester Razor Sharks also have been there for us, as well as all the ice cream. So that's the favorite for a kid, by the way, the ice cream. But it's too cold right now to offer that in February. So they're gonna have to wait till summer to read that. So again, the last slide in here, I give you the participation. And I want to ask Sophie to come here. I just want to demonstrate you what I've been asking every adult. Sophie, I made a promise that I was going to get you this book to read during the break, to you and you other fellow students. And this is The Beloved. I asked so many of our students whether they read, and Toni Morrison is the first African American to win a Nobel Prize. And it is sad sometimes that you ask some of our students and during February, and they might not be aware of one of the most valuable books in contemporary American literature. So, Sophie, don't you love me? I put you to read during the break. Thank you. So thank you so much. I'm asking you and every adult to please promote reading. We cannot do it without reading. Thank you.
Thank you. For the sake of time, I would ask that if anybody has any questions for the superintendent, that they be related directly to his report. Because I forgot to mention earlier, we do have an executive session tonight. So, any questions for the superintendent related to his report on Rock Read? All right, here.
No, I have a...
Okay, Commissioner Elliott.
I'll just, I do have more questions, but I'll just ask two tonight. But with regard to Rock Rouge, my concern about this program, Mr. Superintendent, is that we still have we are criticizing that students are not reading, but we're still not allowing our students to take home books. And I think that we have to fix that problem first, where we can allow our students to take home books. I think that if we looked at that, examined that even closer, and I've been talking about this since I've been on the board, because that's been a huge community issue that our students cannot take home books. What they get is flyers or pages out of the book. Well, that limits learning, because you can't go back and review what you've learned earlier, because you don't have the book, and you can't go forward if you want to get in an accelerated mode because you don't have the material. And so I think that we have to aggressively look at taking books, and some of the concerns that I have heard over the years is that, the kids lose the books. Well, I guess I'm willing to pay for that. And to make sure that our students are able to take the books home. Now, I say that, and I say that kind of facetiously. We have to help them to be responsible, but I think that we have to allow our students to take home the books so that they can do more learning. What usually happens is, I know with my niece, she gets those sheets, she does those sheets, and that's it. So I'd like for you to really look at that, Mr. Superintendent, so that, if we're talking about increasing literacy, that's one way in which we can increase literacy. And the day with your program on extended day, taking books at home is going to help to extend the learning day.
Actually, we are taking that step. Every child is encouraged to take we are going into the classroom and urging them to take books home. I think you're referring to textbook.
I'm referring to textbooks. And teachers have not been allowing them to take those books home.
We will continue to look at that, but I just wanted to say to you that to improve reading, we do have a lot of material, books, as you referred to, that we are putting on children's hand. Actually, we are encouraging them during the weekend to check out book at a library. But I just want to make the distinction, and I understand that you're talking about textbook.
Because if you're talking about math and science and the core curriculum that we need to be proficient in and what's going to be tested on, in my view, we need to have our students to be able to take those books home so that there is additional learning and additional study. And we don't have, many teachers are not allowing the students to take the books home. It's not that the students don't want to take the books home, teachers are not allowing that to happen. And then my last question is, you mentioned about multiple differentiated supports, academic intervention and acceleration. The question is on acceleration. What is our current capacity for accelerated learning? Are our teachers and staff prepared currently? Well, that's the question. What's the status, what's the state of it now, and what's being done to expand that capacity around accelerated learning?
That is part of the new approach in September. We are going to be very aggressive with the deployment of the Common Core curriculum and the master schedule that you heard, that we want to make sure that we don't shortchange our kid, but just emphasizing intervention, because we never get out of the situation that we're in. So we are providing a lot of professional development and changing the culture or being focused solely on intervention. For example, the Rochester City School District is 11 in the nation when it comes to retention. We retain a lot of kids as a form of intervention. I met with a youngster recently from Charlotte High School, and that youngster have been for the past 3 years in 9th grade with the same schedule. So we are bringing that to the attention of our principal, our administrator, and our teacher. And I do think that we do have an opportunity here because people do realize that we had to change our approach and that we had to relentless focus on instruction and support for our teachers and for our kids, because you can't just tell kids do, and don't provide the support that they need and the tools that teachers need to do that.
Do we know what the current state is of intervention versus acceleration?
It is a sad one, but Anita, would you respond to that, please? You can come to the podium if you. It's a good question, by the way. It's an excellent question.
I always have good questions.
I don't think I could cite you statistics, but I can tell you that we offer less AP classes than anywhere else in the Big Five. Like the superintendent said, we are 11th in the country in retention. The majority of our curriculum has been remedial in nature. We are working very hard those remedial classes have been taken out of the master schedule, which does not mean that we do not want to support and help our children, but it means that we believe that we can support and help our children and still give them the content that they need to be college and career ready. So I couldn't cite you statistics, but clearly the district is favoring right now remediation over acceleration.
I thank you, Anita. Let me just say that part of the most painful day for me was in my tenure here, was going to Freddie Thomas last year and meeting a youngster. Actually, I was there with Ty Kelly, and I saw the youngster walking in the hall of Freddie Thomas, and I asked him, he didn't look too happy. I said, "How are you doing?" He said, "Doing all right." And so I said to him, "Are you like school?" "It's all right." I say, "What is that you like?" He said, "Well, I don't like it that I cannot take AP classes." And this is an African-American male. And I say, "But you never had taken AP classes?" He said, "Yes, I did. I took it when I just came from Gate, and they couldn't give me the class that I was taking there. And I was taking AP, English, and other AP course." And I said to the youngster, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" He said, "I want to be a physician." And he's, we engage in, just to summarize, he's part of the Hillside Scholarship Program. And I engaged him and I said, "What are you doing this summer?" He said, "Well, part of the Hillside Program." And he mentioned to me that he was placed at the University of Rochester. And I know that youngster, we're doing harm. When you don't provide that kind of opportunity to a kid, you only live in grade once, and that put him in the disadvantage to apply for a school like the U of R. So we have a sense of urgency to change this, because here you have a youngster that is motivated, wants to do the work and wants to do the right thing, but the opportunity wasn't there for him. And that is very sad, and I'm sure that there's so many other youngsters. And there's no a single school in this nation that doesn't have children that want to, are ready for, to take an AP courses. So we also have to change the expectation that we have. And that's why you see in the master schedule being, I bring it back for us to monitor more carefully, and you're going to begin to hear people saying, well, you got to give the school freedom to schedule their course. And of course we agree with that, but we also have to make sure that we are the guardians of quality.
Commissioner Powell?
Can I just follow up on and the anecdote that you just shared? A student comes to us from Gates with a transcript that shows he has AP courses, and he gets placed in a high school that doesn't offer AP courses. It seems like our problem starts before they set foot in the school. It seems to me that we're not doing a very good job of assessing the talents and level of achievement that our students have when they come to us, to make sure that we can at least talk to, I mean, surely the parent didn't say, oh no, don't send my child to the school that has AP. You know that conversation didn't go like that. So how did the student end up in a school that doesn't offer AP courses?
You are correct, and the tragic is that we do have a school, not anymore, and we're going to change that.
Well, that doesn't have.
It's a systemic approach. That this is why we engage in system change, and that's why I said to you that this is not going to take one day. That's why literacy and reading at early grade is so important to get our kid ready to handle that type of course. But we have to raise our expectation of ourselves and our children and our community. Go ahead.
We are matching children's transcripts right now as they come in and placing them in places that do have the courses that they need. If we offer those courses, or offering them other options for those courses. But like Dr. Vargas said, there are a lot of places that don't have those courses. So we are doing transcript matching for students.
All right, thank you. Anybody got anything else? All right, thank you for the superintendent's report. Board reports, we're going to take board reports in writing with the exception of the reports that have to be officially accepted. We have, just for the sake of time, Commissioner Powell, you have some finance reports that have to be taken in writing. Student rep, you can submit your report in writing, please. Commissioner Powell, we'll start with the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Putting first things first, we do have 3 reports that need to be received by the full board. I move at this time that the board receive the January financial reports.
It's been moved that we receive the January financial reports, which every member received in their packet. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner White. Any questions or comments around the reports? All those in favor of the January financial reports, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you. Next report.
The quarterly change order report.
You all received the quarterly change order report in your packet. There's been a motion by Commissioner Powell for the quarterly change order report. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner White. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, the ayes have it. Third report.
The quarterly student activity fund report.
Been moved to accept the quarterly student activities fund report, which you also received a couple of weeks ago in your packet. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you.
Needless to say, they all were approved by the committee. We also have the regularly scheduled budget amendments, resolutions, and so there are 3 resolutions that are related to the budget amendment that the Finance Committee did recommend approval for. The rest are usual, and the committee recommends all of them for advancement through the full board. Next committee meeting is March 19th at 5:30.
Thank you. Thank you again. Other reports can be submitted in writing. Commissioner Cruz, there is one follow-up from policy. We tabled something, I think, last time, or modified it. You just want to talk about that resolution?
There is, Mr. President. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to reintroduce the proposed revision to the purchasing policy number 6700, which was tabled on January 24th. Business meeting to allow time to consider additional proposed changes regarding accepting electronic bids.
Thank you. Is there a motion to reconsider that resolution? I mean, we have a motion. We have a second. Second, moved and seconded. Thank you. And Commissioner Cruz.
And I have the last one, Mr. President. Last month's meeting, we proposed a revision to the district policy against harassment of students and employees. Number 1510 was presented as an information item. These revisions, we've reviewed them, and in response to a relatively minor compliance issue cited by the New York State Medicaid Inspector General in the district, and we've been given a deadline of March 14th to have them in place. Therefore, I would like to make a motion to waive the requirement of the formulation, adoption, and amendment of policies number 2410 to allow the proposed revision to the district policy against harassment of students and employees to be considered for discussion and for adoption in this evening's meeting.
That's been moved and waived for regarding the harassment policy. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Can I ask a question about that?
Commissioner, we voted on it, but go ahead if you want to.
I didn't get a chance to read it, but I wanted to ask a question about it. Does the policy contain procedures in case the teacher harasses the student?
Yeah, I think that's all covered, and the policy remains the same as we've had. I mean, I can have, we can get a copy of the policy, and I can check that out for you and get back to you if you want. So, your question is, does it have?
I want all the bases, covered if whomever is being harassed, but we tend to leave the students out, and I want to make sure that.
I believe we have an extremely comprehensive policy, probably one of the most comprehensive policies around. So, but I will have, if we can have General Counsel Lopez look into that and get back to you. We can certainly do that.
So we've just passed the policy, is that what we just?
No. This is an old policy. All we're doing is making just a technical tweak to it to comply with something that the New York State Medicaid General.
The state laws. We have to comply with some state laws.
Right. We're not changing anything other than that little technical tweak.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Campbell, you had a quick comment about something that's before the members.
Just based on feedback and coming up with an effectiveness survey in terms of our meetings, this is just something that's a draft, something that we will fill out after every meeting and discuss during our retreats. So just take a look at it, give me any kind of feedback, it's right in front of you. So as I said, this is just a rough draft, and then we will start completing these next month. And that's it.
Thank you. And the only thing I have, I'm not going to, as I said, reports will be submitted, but I did want to, because Commissioner Elliott is here and we were holding on to this from last meeting, Commissioner Elliott, I don't know if you knew that you had got an award from the New York State School Boards Association for completing the School Board U program, leadership development training totaling 75 points. The program is designed to recognize extensive time and effort for school board members who strive to continually expand their governance, knowledge, and skills. And the program is comprised of achievement levels. So basically, school board is basically education for school board members because it's a lot to keep up on. And Commissioner Elliott found the time to participate in this program, and she received a certificate that's signed by our president of NYSBA, Thomas Nispeka, and the executive director, Timothy Kramer. And it says School Board U Learning for Leaders Board Achievement Award to Cynthia Elliott, Rochester School Board for participation in the New York State School Boards Association Leadership Development Training totaling 75 points, and it's for 2012. So, congratulations.
Thank you so very much. This was just like when I was working on my doctorate, and so, I'm working on a doctorate, working at Baden Street on the school board, and this big thing come in the mail because it's a dual program, master's and PhD. This big thing come in the mail, I'm like, what is this? It was my master's degree. I had completed the requirements for the master's degree. So thank you so very much.
There you go, thank you.
Mr. President, really quickly,
yes,
for those of you who have Valentines out there, I wanted to tell you that you
know
can always.
You my Valentine.
Yeah, I know that. I'm about to send you a text right now.
You better, as Honey Boo Boo taught us, you better recognize.
Honey Boo Boo. I didn't know you watch Honey Boo Boo. But I did want to say you better text your sweetheart right now. I just want to tell you that I just got I sent a text to my wife. I said, "Happy Valentine's Day." Laugh out loud. She said, "Same to you. Isn't this romantic?"
We're spending it in a meeting.
That's right.
I'll never be forgiven. And this is not time on task. We do have an executive session to go into where we have to discuss several personnel matters. So we'll move to our resolutions, which are the first batch is human capital initiatives. Any questions need to be germane to the topic. If we're talking about specific individuals, as you know, we have to go into executive session to do that. So starting with resolutions 439 through 460, with the exception of resolution 439, because that's related to tenure. 440 is also related to, is 440 related to tenure? No, just 439. So we're going to vote on 440 through 460. So I'll entertain a motion for resolutions 440 moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been properly moved and seconded.
Mr. President, did we move the minutes?
Yeah, we did that at the start of the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 440 through 460. It's been moved and seconded. Any general questions related
This
to
is
440? Yes, HCI 440 through 460. 439 we discussed in the executive session.
That 440, those requests are always, they're late, they're behind February, and so I always have an issue with that you're bringing us something that's after the fact, and that's in resolution 440.
And I just commented last meeting that we hadn't had any late submissions for
Yeah, y'all
6 months.
because I wasn't here.
No, we haven't had any late ones in the last 6
Well,
months.
congratulations.
So this is the first.
But yeah, I noticed it. So we
So- This is the first.
Thing brought to us late.
This is the first one in a while. Dr. Centrone.
Most of these resolutions are for ESL teachers who we've been desperately trying to recruit for a while. And some are part-time teachers who have been increased to full-time because of needs that were in the classroom. Again, a lot of these are teachers that we had been trying to recruit for a while and had substitutes in the buildings. And when we got them, we placed them right away so that they could start teaching. Once they went into the classroom in a vacancy, that became an appointment, whether we called it an appointment as of that day or not. As soon as they went to the classroom, because it was a vacancy, that would be their official start date.
This is on 446, is the hearing officer full-time? And what are the duties of the hearing officer? We're paying them $70,000, so is that full-time or what are?
Yes, the hearing officer, that is the individual that hears the student suspension hearings.
Does he hear a case every day, or the position?
Yeah.
Does the physician hear?
Yes, lots of them.
How many cases per day does the hearing officer?
I could get you that information, but I don't know that off the top of my head.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then just one question, 447. What is an accompanist? An accompanist?
It's the woman who played the piano while the chorus was singing.
Okay, how often do we pay a person to do that? That's $26 an hour we're paying that person to do that.
It's the contractual rate.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Question,
Commissioner Adams.
are there newly created administrative positions in the packet? And if there are, what are the rationale for those new positions? Newly created administrative positions
As in
as opposed
Commissioner
to
Adams, that
appointments?
didn't exist before?
Correct.
Are there?
Director of Internal Support and External, maybe?
Okay. Yeah.
They are not new positions, they're reorganized positions, so we cut administrative positions, we retitled people in the reorg of operations. They're not new jobs, they're not newly budgeted jobs. We lost a director of accountability, restructured the position for a director of internal operations. Similarly, for external school operations. So they are new positions, they're not new administrative positions in the budget. They're a reorg of my entire division.
So they were always within ASAR as
Yeah,
opposed
yes,
to,
ma'am.
so it's not back and forth between
Nope.
CG? Okay.
Nope.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Adams, to follow up to your question, are these titles that already existed? Or are these titles that we just?
Newly created. They're existent titles in your, what do you call that?
But, I mean, these are titles that are already on the
Yes.
books. These aren't things that we just made. Okay, all right. Yeah, I need clarification on that.
Yes.
All right, that would have been a problem if we made the titles up without the board knowing about it. Commissioner White?
Yeah, just to follow up on the suspension resolution, the hiring of the suspension officer, I wanted to thank the superintendent and Mr. Lopez for their prompt response to a concern that I had as a result of a letter that I had gotten from one of our parents, and I think I copied in the rest of the board on it. And essentially what had happened was we were sending out suspension letters without apprising parents of their rights to appeal to the Board of Education. So I want to forewarn you all, my colleagues, we don't know how long this was going on, but apparently it was going on for some time. And as a lawyer, I was just telling Malik, I spent from 9 a.m. yesterday to 6 o'clock at night at a suspension hearing in Spencerport. These are very, very serious rights that our state laws and our Constitution give to our citizens. So I should tell my colleagues that we don't know how long this has been going on, but you may see a spike in parents exercising their rights. This has been going on long before this administration got here. Let's be clear about this. I would think, because the people who are now in charge would never let this happen, but I'm suspicious as to why this came to be, that we would not apprise our citizens, our parents, of their right to appeal. Because the law is very clear. You go from the superintendent to the Board of Education to the Commissioner of Education. And we weren't telling parents. And but again, that's the bad news. The good news is, as soon as it was drawn to their attention, I sent the letter to the email to the superintendent. It wasn't even 24 hours. Mr. Lopez drafted a new letter that anytime any student gets suspended beyond 5 days, they'll get this letter from the superintendent. Says, okay, this is what we decided I was going to do. I accepted the decision of the suspension officer, but you have the right to appeal. And the letter that Mr. Lopez drafted, I think makes it very clear what those rights are. So a very, very important nuance in the law we were just not paying any attention to. And again, thank you to the superintendent for taking care of that.
Thank you. All right, any other questions on resolutions 440 through 460? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of 440 through 460, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
440, 447, 463.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, 440, 447, 463 are no for Commissioner Elliott. Oh, we didn't consider 463 yet, Commissioner Elliott.
Oh, okay.
But just so you know, when we get to it, Commissioner Elliott's voting no on. So write that down. Let the record reflect. And now we'll move to additional pay, which is 461 through 464. These are also under the HR, Human Capital initiative category, 461 through 464. I would entertain a motion to approve. So moved. It's been properly moved and seconded. Questions on 461 through 464? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And can you capture Commissioner Elliott's no on 463? 465 and through 468, these are budget resolutions which were referenced in the Finance Committee. As you know, when more money comes in or whenever more money changes, we have to do an adjustment to the budget. We have these every so often throughout our budget process. And I'll entertain a motion for budget amendments 465 through 468.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Powell. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner White. Any discussion or comments around the budget amendments? And just so you know, 467 doesn't exist. We're actually voting on 465, 466, and 468. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. 469 is procurement and supply for Riddell All-American. I'll entertain a motion for 469.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Second. Question, Commissioner Elliott?
I always had an argument when I was on the Finance Committee about the language that says must not exceed the budgeted amount. I always have argued with that because as it's written here, it doesn't say what the budgeted amount is. And so when we have this information, although, I could go to the budget or, the public could go to the budget, but it would seem to me that it would be far more easier and more informative if we knew what the budgeted amount was. And so I don't know, since I'm not on the Finance Committee anymore, that it got changed but I'd like to note that I think that we need to know what the budget amount is. I think for us, it's about checks and balances. And if we have that information that's here, I think that that would put us in a better position that we're being, in my mind, good fiduciary agents over the finances of the public.
Thank you.
So what is the budgeted amount? Can I get that information?
We could send that to you.
Okay.
The problem with that is it's not very meaningful. This particular contract is to rehabilitate football helmets. It's going to be one part of a total sports budget that it will include replacing uniforms, which will be a different contract. It'll be transporting kids to off-site events. It'll be the coaching, the budget for coaching, those teams. It simply would not be a meaningful number. All of those departments or all those functions share one budget line, and if we don't need to spend it replacing helmets, then we have it available to replace uniforms.
So why do we have this language in the resolution?
Because in the aggregate, we will not exceed that budget line.
All right, so maybe we need to say in the aggregate, we will not exceed the budgeted amount.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
So whoever writes up these resolutions in the future, if we can include that language.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners Powell and Commissioner Elliott. Anything else on 469? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. 470 through 474 are educational facilities. The facilities that keep the department that keeps our schools tip-top shape. Is there a motion for 470, 474? Moved by Commissioner White. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Powell. Discussion on 470 through 474?
Yeah, Mr. President, can someone tell me what the changes were for Resolution 470? What are we paying for in these? Oh, you know what? Forgive me. Don't respond to that. That's not necessary.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Get the change order.
Anything else to 470 through 474?
Yeah. Looking at 471, there's no MWBE award. Is it too small of a grant, or why? Why didn't we push for MWBE? I can't answer. Can somebody answer that question for me for 471?
And this is 471. The question relates to MWBE.
These are CIP projects. MWBE doesn't get reported for CIP projects.
Yeah, but this board is interested in any place that we can have an opportunity for MWBE, we want it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can, I mean, we can list that, I guess, but right now it does not get, it only gets provided to the board for FMP projects where it's required.
Yeah, that's where, but that's why we have this participation in statistics that's listed on these, on this document, because we want that information.
I probably can help with a better answer than that. The fact is that this particular award does not go to an MWBE contractor, and nor is there a subcontract affiliated with it. So it's not that there wasn't an effort made, it's simply sometimes project, you kind of hinted at it, it's too small, there's no subcontract, and the contractor is not an MWBE contractor. That's the short answer.
Okay. Anything else on 470 through 474?
Yes.
Yes.
Talk a little bit more about this property. I didn't realize we had this property where we can get.
Which number?
474.
474.
Parking.
I can talk to you about that
And
too.
can we get more money as opposed to just $1,200? How many times we park over there?
This is property that we
We're broke.
own. Well, this is property that we own, and at times when events are happening downtown where people are looking to park, if we managed it on our own, we'd be paying union wages for a parking attendant to collect $5 per car to park or whatever. We have tried to do it this way, and what happens is either it goes completely unused and there's zero revenue, or it's otherwise undermanaged. So by contracting with someone who's willing, who does this with other parking lots, we're basically saying it's a game of over-under. If you take in more money than this $1,200, then you get to keep it. If you make less, too bad, you still have to give us $1,200.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on 470 through 474? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. 475 through 487 is the other category. I'll entertain a motion for 475 through 487.
So moved.
So moved. It's been moved by Commissioner White, seconded by Commissioner Elliott. Questions on 475 through 487?
Yeah, 475, Mr. President. What
Yes.
is that, RECHIS, what does that stand for?
475,
475. What are those initials?
Oh, that's the
Rochester Early College International High School.
Rochester College High School.
What was the I for?
International.
Oh, okay, all right. You may want to spell that out. Seriously, because if people are looking at it in the future, they wouldn't know what that is. All right.
Reichs. Yeah, they would think it would say the Reichies.
Yeah.
Anything else on 475 through 487? Hearing none, all those in favor of 475 through 487?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it, thank you. No previous business no unfinished business. You have some information items for student attendance, school uniform policy, the Medicaid compliance and health-related policy, and then policy against the harassment of students and employees is a discussion item. Anybody want to discuss anything more about the policy against harassment of students and employees? I may have a little more to say about that policy in executive session. Anything else?
Yeah, just point of personal privilege, if I may.
Yes.
I happened to be at home when the meeting was going on, when the Black History Observer was going on, and I happened to hear the School of the Arts sing, and I didn't hear it all, but I'd never heard the song before about 4th of July. It's not mine.
They said it the music. Freddie Douglass' speech.
I tell you, it brought back. I've read the speech by Frederick Douglass that did the speech here in Rochester at Corinthian Hall, wherever Corinthian Hall is.
It's now Hochstein. It's now Hochstein.
What does the 4th of July have to do with me? He said that speech right here in Rochester, and so I just want to commend the school instructor and Mr. Gabriel about that song. I'm telling you, that was something else. I really did appreciate that. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Gabriel, and thank you, students from School of the Arts.
Thank you. And Commissioner Elliott, he mentioned, you might have missed it, that the person that wrote it, that arranged the music for that song actually lives here right in Rochester.
Oh, beautiful.
Rochester composer in here.
So we don't have any speakers on agenda items. I entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Point of order, Mr. President.
Yes.
I believe that the motion that I made was a motion that would allow us to
vote on
this particular amendment to the policy against 1510.
That is correct.
So I think we need a motion to actually pass that.
That is correct. You did make a motion to suspend the rules for that because we need to get this done to be in compliance with the state. Is it moved?
I would like to move it with using the same language as the previous policy, inserting the appropriate policy number.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. 1510 is passed, and we will make sure that we let the state know that we did that. Thank you. We will now move into executive session. It's been moved and seconded, I believe. So we are in executive session. We need to be done by the time the TV show Scandal comes on.
So had we not done this, we wouldn't have been able to get it done.